are getting Chinese as fuck! The refugees are choosing communist China and their spies over Elon Musk and his army of Tesla cucks. I mean, seriously? How else can you describe this shit? And then there's Meta, owned by Mark Zuckerberg, the recipient of the world's first rat penis transplant. So, yeah, thanks to those two losers and American companies' abysmal history of protecting user data, the people are going red and embracing Mao Zedong. Users are taking refuge in boycotting by signing up for Xiaohongshu, also known as Redbook or RedNote. The name Xiaohongshu translates to Little Red Book. Believe it or not, historically, Little Red Book was what they called Mao Zedong's book of political quotes and ideas. Yeah, you know, Mao Zedong, basically the father of communist China. So while the app itself has nothing to do with politics, it is funny that the little communist book is basically kicking capitalist American ass right now. The app is being called China's TikTok by mainstream American media and influencers who know nothing about China besides Ni Hao and Bing Chilling. So, allow me to correct that. Douyin is Chinese TikTok and is owned by ByteDance, the same company that owns the TikTok you know and love. Xiaohongshu, Redbook, is owned by another company and is more accurately China's Instagram. The platform has short videos, but is known for pictures and discussion like Instagram or Pinterest. So, no, it's not China's TikTok. With the TikTok ban, refugees are learning about Chinese apps to replace the American ones. I thought this guide was well put together, but look closely. Grindr is missing. You might have to settle for Genshin Impact. Not really. Don't worry, I have the information to help you find your community and maybe find a Chinese bae. All you need is a few specific hashtags on Redbook. Firstly, there are 3 general ones. Dongxin Lu, a play on Dongxin Lian, which just means gay. Tiu Sheng, which is basically like athletic student. Don't ask me why that's one of the hashtags. And Tiai Hung, which means rainbow. If you want to be more specific, use number 1 if you're a top and number 0 if you're a bottom. It shouldn't be too hard to figure out why they chose those 2 numbers. One is a stick and one is a hole. Fun fact, Grindr was once owned by a Chinese company, but they were forced to divest their ownership. This is the same as the TikTok situation. TikTok has that option, but doesn't seem interested in selling. Enough about Grindr. What we're seeing right now is the largest cultural exchange between Chinese citizens and Americans. Everyone knows about China's greatest firewall. Almost every American app or website you can think about is banned in China. That's Twitter, Google, Facebook, Airbnb, Snapchat, almost anything you can think of. They cannot be accessed without a VPN. Though recently, OnlyFans was accessible for a few days without any explanation, leading to Chinese citizens joking online that this was the Chinese government's way of creating new work opportunities for the youth. The job market is atrocious right now, and this looked to be the path, allowing Chinese girls to drain the yellow fever Westerners, bringing those American dollars to the Chinese economy. Of course, that didn't last long, and the site is blocked again, now like basically everything else. So, with American apps being banned in China, they of course have their own equivalents that we touched on already. VPN usage is not rare, but it's far from common. After all, most decent VPNs cost money, and the average Chinese citizen doesn't know or care about what they're missing out on from our platforms. This would be a great opportunity for a shitty YouTube sellout VPN sponsorship, but I have no clout. Drop a like and subscribe so I can have one for the next video. From the American side, Chinese apps are largely inaccessible for one reason or another. Many require a Chinese number to sign up or an ID for verification, or you need a Chinese Apple ID to download the app. None of this is convenient, and it plays a part in why there is a divide. All of this is why Redbook trending now is so special. Redbook doesn't require a Chinese number or Chinese Apple ID to download and sign up. This helped create the madness we see now. Americans are seeing that Chinese netizens also love Luigi, cute cats, thirst traps, and memes. Despite cultural differences, hey, maybe we're not all that different. Americans are welcoming Chinese spies and happily handing over their data. Hilariously, you know that annoying pop-up that asks to track your activity across different apps and websites that we all usually tell to fuck off? Yeah, people are allowing Redbook to track them. The TikTok refugees are having fun exploring a new app, going viral easily with bullshit posts and thirst traps, while the Chinese users engage and play along with the excitement. Some are even taking the opportunity to ask native English speakers to help with their English homework. Meanwhile on Twitter, quick load in 4K is trending. Which app would you rather use? But there's also another side to all of this: the gatekeepers. There are Chinese ones who maybe rightfully aren't enjoying having their For You pages now filled with English content that they can't even read. And the embarrassing foreign users who already downloaded this app months ago for viral makeup tips from Chinese girls. I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to makeup and photography, Chinese girls have it down to a science. But when you yourself are an outsider, no one cares what you have to think. Sorry, you're not better than anyone for being early to download an app filled with content that you can't even read without swapping back and forth between Google Translate. Delete the screenshots you took for translating. Your 64GB iPhone is running out of storage. I'm clowning, but I only understand because I can relate. Chinese is hard as fuck. Speaking of Chinese, a lot of people are talking about learning Mandarin now. Duolingo, the app that makes you feel like you're learning a language, but you're really not, even spoke up. Hats off to those that really learned some Mandarin, but if you know anything about it, I'm sure you'd agree most will give up when they learn about tones. The different ways to say ma are enough to make a beginner want to jump off a cliff. Love Chinese culture, love Mandarin, but fuck the four tones. I'm sorry. Anyway, the cultural exchange is great, but it probably won't last long. There's a reason China has a great firewall that separates their internet from ours. There's a reason Douyin and TikTok both exist. Control. Sensitive content is heavily censored on Chinese platforms. They can't even talk about policies and complain openly without posts being deleted. Oh, you think the economy is bad? That's cute. Get fucked. That's why you'll see Americans talk about American issues like healthcare with Chinese citizens on Redbook, but you will not see any meaningful conversation about issues or change in China. On Twitter, we can complain about society and our governments as much as we want. It's not like that on Chinese platforms. Monitoring their own citizens is already a lot of work. Allowing outside influence and censoring trolls is probably not ideal for Redbook or the government. It's more likely that these new users get booted off and an international version of Redbook gets released later on. Either way, it's safe to say that the TikTok ban has already backfired. TikTok has always claimed they're not controlled by the Chinese government. Their hub is in Singapore, and God, how could anyone forget their CEO is Singaporean? Regardless of how much control you believe China's government has over TikTok, I think we can all agree that users rushing from TikTok to a definitely 100% Chinese company that can be controlled by the government is a big L for the US government and American social media companies. If you're one of the TikTok users that somehow doubt the government could use the platform in a meaningful way, I present Example A, Chinese National Intelligence Law, which requires all Chinese companies to assist, support, and cooperate with national interference work. And Example B, in 2019, Redbook was removed from the App Store for now properly regulating content. They were allowing posts that violate China's internet laws. Point is, for Chinese companies, whatever the government says, they do. I've always thought of it like this in America. Corporations control the government. In China, the government control corporations. Moving on. There's maybe a greater loss here from the US government's perspective. This gets a little deep, but there's propaganda on both sides. Both countries' citizens have basically always been trained to see the other as the enemy. The clash of cultures and memes is showing people that we're all the same. I mean, we're all joking about Chinese spies and sensitive data together. Americans going forward, at least the demographic that scrolls their hours away, may be a bit less supportive of anti-China policies going forward. Targeting Chinese companies like Huawei may not be the best way to gain popularity for politicians anymore, but simply, this has been good PR for China. On the Google Play Store, 3 out of the top 4 apps are Chinese-owned. Capitalism is down bad right now. Get ready to learn Chinese, buddy! This situation most likely won't last long, but it is beautiful in a weird way.
Your phone ringing.